Hey, everybody, just getting everybody logged on. And as soon as I admit people, a whole bunch more people come on. So I'm trying to get everybody on here. How's everybody doing today? Hello, hello. Admit all, admit all. Here we go. All right, we're getting filled up here. Whoo, almost fell off my chair. All right. So want to make sure I'm talking to you guys and you guys can hear me. Yes, I have my microphone on, still letting people in. Everybody wants to know what's going on with the state of California right now. So gonna get into detail with what's going on within the state, what we're seeing across the board as far as evictions go, as far as legal counsel goes. And sorry, you guys, I'm all twisted up here. I got information for you. What do you know, right? All right, so I'm gonna get started with what we're already starting to see as happening. I spent quite a bit of time on the phone with a landlord attorney, so I got some of my questions answered. And yeah, so let's just keep moving forward and let's talk about things. So if you have a tenant that currently owes you the 25% that did not pay at all during the pandemic or only paid portions during the pandemic, if you're owed the 25% right now, start your case. I know it's me and I'm like, avoid legal, avoid legal. Especially in LA County. If they didn't pay you the 25%, start the case. They may be manipulating the system, they meaning your tenant, and we just don't want to bleed anymore. We know it's coming, but if they didn't pay the 25%, as simply as I could say this, how do you argue that? The government was going to pay it for you. All you had to do was apply. So we're starting to see some of those cases come in. Send them in. If you have a tenant that has not paid you the 25% on or before September 30th for all the months of the protected period, start your case. Okay, call your legal counsel, start the case. Enough's enough. Our ships are sinking and we need to do something about it. Hang on, because I know I'm going to get a lot of questions when I start reading the next few things that I took notes on. I took notes, you guys. If they refuse to pay rent, should we begin eviction even though we started rent relief? Yeah, I would. If they see, they can't cry COVID anymore. That's the weird thing, okay? So just work with me. But yeah, if they refuse to pay rent, start the eviction. Even though you applied for rent relief, they owe rent for October. So you need to serve a 3-day notice, wait 20 days. I'm sorry, serve a 3-day notice to them to pay rent or quit just for the month of October. And then apply for the funds through the state of California through housingiskey.com. What you're doing is you're putting the state on notice that you're about to evict for non-payment. And I think they want to see how many of us there are that are actually being affected by this, so they can do something to help us as landlords and also make sure that half the state isn't homeless in the next 6 months, because that's the direction we're all headed. So I would serve them with a 3-day notice just for October's rent. If they refuse to pay October, and then I'd file with the state of California, put them on notice, and then I'd start the eviction process. This has got to stop. Somebody's messaging me. They want to join my Zoom. I can't help you right now. I'm in the middle of it. Go ahead. I hear you asking something.
If we already applied for Housing is Key, we don't need to do it again, right? We just served them a 3-day for October and we start.
Wrong. Completely wrong. If they didn't pay you in October, we all need to group together as landlords and rally together and then apply for October's rent through the state. That is what's putting the state on notification that we as a landlord still haven't been paid yet and we're about to make half the state homeless. So for those of you that are doing 3-day notices to pay rent or quit, on an existing tenant for the month of October. It is like, it has several disclosures in it. It has verbiage in it. It's not a regular 3-day yet. For those of us that are entering into a tenancy on or after October 1st, you use a regular 3-day. Everybody got that? So if you have a new tenant that moved in on or after the protected period of COVID, you use a regular 3-day notice. For those of us that have existing tenants, we have to use a special 3-day notice at least until the end of March. Is the state of California going to pay me for October's rent? I can't answer that. Some of us have been paid all the way through December. I can't answer the why to that either. I don't get it. I don't understand. However, I'm encouraging you to go apply. Even if you don't get the funds for October, what we're doing is we're telling the state of California, we're about to make half of your state homeless unless you give us more funds. Landlords are still drowning here. We need your help. So everybody got that, right? Okay. Let me go back because I saw a question. I have applied for 4 tenants and no action. My portal still says pending. One tenant used the case number I provided, but she seems to have her own file and they are not merged. I have left multiple messages on the hotline. Keep calling the hotline, Val. I know it's painstaking and annoying and irritating, but get in there, man.
I've actually, every time I call, the answer almost immediately. So I don't know why you're being put on hold, but I've had no problem getting hold of them.
Okay. Do you have a different number you're calling?
It's an 833 number, I believe, or 844 number. It's the number that's posted on the website, and I get through very quickly every time I've called.
Okay, perfect.
I probably jinxed it now, but
see how you are?
yeah.
My tenant said he asked for future rent, so he thinks the government will pay October, November, and December. You're funny. The protected period for tenants ended on September 30th. Newsflash, tenants can no longer apply. That has been cut off for them. So tell your tenant, thanks for playing the game, but no, that's not what's happening. You owe the rent starting in October. If you don't pay me, here's your 3-day notice, and I'm going to notify the state that you didn't pay me because now you're not upholding to your end of the contract. So no, don't let them tell you that the government's going to pay them for October, November, December, and January. That's not true. That has not been announced yet. And I don't see that that is going to take place. I think they're going to help landlords now and not tenants. I think they got the gist of how tenants have abused and manipulated this system. And they've cut off the tenant portals. So if you're a tenant trying to apply for funds, right now there's no portal on Housing is Key for tenants. It's only there for landlords. Okay. Anyone have any luck getting a new 3-day form? If so, please share. Okay, Val. The apartment association should have that 3-day notice with all the additional disclosures on it. If you still need it, text me afterwards. I may be able to point you in the correct direction. I don't have my glasses on. Sorry, guys. It's super easy to get someone on COVID 833 hotline and link them to the same account. It's easy. Okay, so everybody's on that same page. Okay, I'm going to keep moving. So for those of us that have not been paid for the month of October, we need to serve the special 3-day notice and then apply for the government funds and then wait 20 days and then decide if we want to start the eviction at that point or not. I got a news flash for all of you, so please pay attention. If the reason that you have not got paid rent relief is they're requiring additional documentation from you, the landlord, and you, the landlord, are holding up the case, you, the landlord, will not be able to do an eviction. Makes sense? So log onto your portal, call them, double check, make sure they don't need anything else from you, because if they still need something from you and you're the reason why they're not paying or things are being held up, that is going to null and void your eviction going forward. Okay, something to think about. I'm gonna try this again. for new tenants moving in October 1st or after, they get a regular 3-day notice. They do not get to cry COVID. They do not get any tenant protections because of COVID. Everybody understands that. For tenants that are delinquent now, that you had during the COVID protected period, you need to serve that new 3-day and reapply for the state money every month that they're delinquent. Everybody got that? So you need to do that every month, is reapply with the state. Only the landlords can apply right now. Tenants cannot apply. That ship has sailed. It's all us now, folks.
Can we serve 3 days in the city of Los Angeles?
Yes, but it has to be the new 3-day for existing tenants.
Okay.
Sorry, hold on. A bunch of people are getting in. Sorry. So for new tenants coming in on or after October 1st, they get our old 3-day from years ago. That works, okay? If it's a tenant that lived there during the protected period, I got you, Jade, just hang on. If they live there during the protected period, they get the new 3-day notice that has all the disclosures on it regarding the COVID Tenant Protection Act. Only a landlord can, okay. COVID declaration has no final notice to be given. You just evict on the 25%. So if you haven't been paid the 25%, they've been yanking your chain, lying through their teeth, whatever you want to say, there is no final notice that needs to be given there. Their ship has sailed. Start legal. Okay? Because we're going to see these non-payment cases go through the system a little bit faster, because how do you contest that? You had 16 months to pay 25% of your rent and you still failed to do so. You did not apply for government program. You did not get the help from the government. Get out. Okay. So I have a feeling that those are the way those are going to go, because they've opened all the doors for them. If they chose not to walk in them, that's their problem, not ours. Okay. So keep that in mind. And new tenants are on the old notice. That is like the biggest thing that I could press to you guys. Make sure that you have notified your tenants about the statewide rent control after July 1st of 2020 and given them the exemption notice. It's very important that we all do this. You can do a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy if you're on a month-to-month and notify them of that change that way. That's probably the best way to handle that. And that comes straight from an attorney. LA County, for the most part, is turned into San Diego County, and they will be that way briefly. I see questions coming in, you guys. I'll get to them. Just give me a second, okay? And the website to apply for the government funds is housingiskey.com. or it's housingiskey.org. I always forget. So
Both of them work.
Both of them work. Okay. So yay, somebody was paying attention to the blondness. That's where you go apply for the month of October. And don't get upset. Your tenant can apply. It's for landlords.
I take it back. It's housingiskey.com. Org does not work. Okay.
So housingiskey.com is that website. Just to give you guys a heads up there. What I'm finding out from attorneys, and I talked to quite a few of them over the weekend, believe it or not. Here's what I could tell you what they're saying. If you have a new case coming forward that is for non-payment of rent of the 25% or of October's rent, file it, okay? Because them being able to argue that is slim and none, okay? The stuff that's already in litigation, I can't help you there. You need to talk to your attorney with what you have going on. But I could tell you this, stop trying to evict for cause in the county of Los Angeles, at least until April Fool's Day, okay? Why do I say that? I'm being told by legal counsel that in order for us to do a nuisance eviction and have it have enough teeth to evict in LA County right now because of their moratorium, they went just as strict as San Diego. You have to have like 4 police reports and a threat still on the premises. So with that being said, hold on, I'm still letting peeps in. With that being said, I would go utilize cash for keys if you need to get somebody out. And try that approach. But in the event you need to get into the legal system, get into the legal system. As far as trying to terminate tenancy without cause, save it. Don't even try. Don't even try. Even terminating tenancy with cause right now is extremely challenging. So if we can just buckle up, bear with me, and wait until this all blows over, we should be able to get back to normal as quickly as possible and not have this COVID cloud hanging over us, for lack of a better way for me to explain it. It's the COVID cloud. Okay, hold on. One tenant owes from the month of June, but paid the next few months, yet October he has not paid the rent and he's ignoring me. He applied for COVID funds at my direction, but I don't think his side is complete. So now his file is not complete. Should I serve him a 3-day only for October? Serve him only for October on that 3-day notice, not for anything during the protected period. You've already notified him of that. So don't worry about that part, but definitely serve for October and then turn around and apply on housingiskey.com for the landlord funds, or putting the state on notice that you're about to evict for non-payment of rent. What I think is going to happen, and just hear me out, is I think the state of California is going to go, oh, half of our state's about to be homeless. Maybe we should help these landlords a little bit more because they haven't exhausted their funds. There's still funds in counties that aren't using them. So for those of us that need them, why not redisperse those, reboot, reload, and let's try again. But let's try to help these landlords that have been taken advantage of, lied to, misled, manipulated. Should I keep going?
We need another recall to get some more funds.
The funds are still out there. They could be redistributed. In other words, they were submitted to counties and then the state has their own separate fund. So for the counties that didn't use those funds, I think that they should go back and redisperse them and hit them in counties that were more heavily hit so that our landlords don't lose their investments. Rent relief paid us through April of 2021. Does the tenant need to pay at least 25% from May through September? Yes. And if they don't pay 25% from May through September on or before September 30th, you can evict them right now. Can we get started legal for City of LA? Can we serve a 15-day notice? AOA told us you can't serve because it's still protected. LA is protected until October 1st of 2022. That's in the city of Los Angeles. Can you serve the 15-day notice? I'd talk to legal counsel at this point. They are so protected. It is not funny. They're telling me that I can't even get them out on a material breach of the lease right now. That I am better to wait until April Fool's Day to try anything in LA City, because they just locked it down, just like they did the county of San Diego, and they're trying to lock down the county of Los Angeles right now and make it extremely challenging for us. So hear me out, you guys. Utilize your cash for keys. From what I'm understanding, it is allowed everywhere across the board. Okay, utilize your cash for keys. Hang in there, apply for those government funds, put the state on notice that we're gonna make their tax-paying citizens homeless if they don't do something about it. But be cautious, okay? Is there any special form for asking for the 25% of past rent? They've already been given those forms. Jay, every time you served them a notice and notified them of their rights, they were notified then. There is no notice that anyone is aware of at this time. If you didn't get paid the 25%, you have all those notices throughout the protected period. There's your proof that you notified them that they owed this money. I'd contact your legal counsel, because right now there's no defense for those cases. What do I mean by that? How is an attorney going to argue that they didn't apply for the government funds, they didn't pay you the 25% as they were required, and they're still living there rent-free for 16 months? Okay, there's just no teeth there on the tenant side. if you're getting them for not paying the 25% of the past due rents during the protected period. So contact your attorney and tell them you want to get started. You didn't get your 25%. But please, I had somebody talk to me about this yesterday. Take note, during the protected COVID pandemic period, which is March of 2020 through September 30th of 2021, there is something all of you need to know. We could not do, they changed the rules on us. We cannot apply the rents received to the most past due balance during the protected period. During the protected period, we as landlords must apply the rent where it was received. Okay, everybody with me?
What was that protected period again, Patty?
March of 2020 to September 30th of 2021. So here's my opinion, not my advice. And Ed, I'm going to use you as an example, okay? Let's say Ed calls me and he says, hey, Patty, I got a case I got to go to court on, and during the protected period, I'm going to tell him, take your handwritten ledger. Why did I say that? Because I don't think all of us should change the way we do our accounting program just to appease this 16-month period. If we have to go to court regarding this 16-month period, take your ledger on paper. It should take you no longer than 10, 15 minutes at the max to write out what happened in that 16-month protected period where funds were applied. That way they can see no late fees were given. And if you just use that, then you don't have to worry about taking in your actual accounting ledger, your accounting, because it has to match. We were told that during the protected period of the pandemic, we had to apply the rent where it was received. That's one of the things they've been looking for. That's why they're asking us for a ledger, okay? None of us want to redo the accounting for all of our tenants for the last 16 months. It makes more sense to handwrite a ledger for that one person that we need to put in legal, okay? Or the 5 people that we need to put in legal. So what I'm saying is just for the 16 months of the pandemic period, do a handwritten ledger. You can even type it up pretty, I don't care, but don't give them your regular ledger that shows where those funds were applied in the wrong month. To them, applying money as it was received is how the law is written, so that's how it has to be applied. For those of us in the industry, we usually apply any incoming rents to the most previous past due balance. So if the last time they paid us was 16 months ago, they now owe 15 months of rent, and it makes it a little tricky. So remember, you need a handwritten ledger. It's just the easiest way to take it. LARSO seismic retrofit to increase rent approved in 2020, effective 90 days after the emergency's over. Can I serve them the letter now? I believe so, but I would contact your legal counsel just to make sure. Remember, LARSO's emergency isn't technically over until October 1st of next year. But I'd call your legal counsel and ask them. Are we allowed to do rent increases in Inglewood, San Pedro, and Long Beach? Absolutely not. What did Patty just say? Here's my opinion, not my advice. And I'll tell you even why your attorney is giving you different information than I am. Okay? They can do that. They're your legal counsel. In the event that you get sued because you did a rent increase and the tenant says they were affected by the pandemic, and they put you in legal, okay? It's your attorney that's going to stand there and defend you in that court battle, not me. Everybody got that? So if your attorney is telling you you can raise the rents and you do it, it's your attorney that's going to help you in a court legal battle, not me. Okay? Here's me telling you, don't raise the rents. Why? I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to stand next to you in a court of law, and I'm not going to argue about who was affected more than the other. Make sense? Your attorney's telling you you can raise the rents. I'm not legal counsel. Let me plant this seed. If we even call fair housing, I'm sorry, let me reboot. If the tenant calls fair housing or code enforcement, we can't terminate tenancy or increase rents for 6 months, or it's considered retaliatory. Same thing as if they have bed bugs. What do we think a global pandemic is going to do? We don't know. We still haven't heard from fair housing. Why haven't we heard from fair housing? Well, LA has additional protections. San Diego has additional protections. So maybe there won't be anything that comes about of being retaliatory on raising rents as soon as the protected period's over. If your tenant has paid rent throughout this entire pandemic period, throughout the whole thing, and never was late, and you never had to apply for government funds, nor did you have to pay attention to all of this laws and changing assembly bills and Senate bills that were controlling us. Why? Because your tenant was an angel and they paid the rent throughout the pandemic. Why are you going to be in a hurry to reward them with their great behavior by increasing their rent? It doesn't keep the business balance correct. Make sense? Here's another thing. If you raise the rents and the tenant says they were affected by COVID and they can prove that in a court of law, it could be considered retaliatory. Could be. Retaliation fees, according to Senate Bill 91, are up to $2,500 per occurrence. That means you could be fined $2,500 for every month that you raise the rent during the protected period, or even after that. I don't want to pay those fines. It's not worth the $600 I still have to wait before I can raise the rent. We only have to wait 6 more months, guys. We've made it this far. Err on the side of caution. There is no case law, hence why your attorneys are telling you, yeah, go ahead, because they will argue anything. This is a great payday for them. Everything is being heavily litigated. Heavily litigated means heavily expensive to you. Okay, I'm just trying to keep you out of litigation, out of the courtroom, and erring on the side of caution so that you avoid the whole legal process right now, because it's a snollygoster. Trust me, okay? Snollygoster. Example, have a client, and I think he's on here. If you are, Clifford, you don't have to say hi. He has a property in Lake Elsinore. He evicted the tenant for a nuisance. A nuisance, okay? And this tenant was doing some pretty heinous shit to him every time he came out of his house. He even squirted him with the garden hose. Cops were called, okay? The landlord proved in a court of law, this was a nuisance, okay? In Lake Elsinore. What are we, Riverside County? This tenant, he has possession. He got locked out. He's gone. Unit was flipped and re-rented to someone else, and the tenant is still trying to appeal the ruling of the court. Why? There's no case law. Make sense? Everybody with me? Your tenant can come back up to 4 years after said incident and sue you. That's a statute of limitations on a written contract, 2 years on an oral agreement. My theory is, if we know that these landlords, God love them, are getting drugged through the coals, and then after they get possession, they're still in litigation. Now they're telling him they're moving this to a general civil case, and he has to pay even more money to keep defending. The property's re-rented. When does it stop? It's because there's no case law regarding COVID. So they're going to keep coming back at them until there's some kind of case law and they know what the rules are. It could be another year or longer before we get case law out of this. Ouch. That means somebody's paying through the nose. Ugh. Err on the side of caution. Stay out of all of this monstrosity of a legal system that we have going right now. It's broken. Okay, nobody wants to sign up to go ride on the roller coaster when it's broken. It's broken, you guys. Don't sign up to ride on the roller coaster. It's a bad idea. Just saying. I don't know another way to say it as simply as I can, other than if that's what everybody else is trying to do, and the key word there was trying, because you need to know this. If you're in litigation in the state of California, regarding COVID rents, they're going to give you a possession judgment only. They're not going to give you a ruling on rents that are owed during the COVID period. So when you get up there, they're going to say, I'm sorry, starting November 1st is when you can ask for the COVID rent monies in small claims court, not here. So after you go through all of that, please know all the courts are doing is awarding a judgment for possession only. That's it. If all they're doing is awarding you a judgment for possession and asking you to pay $5,000 in legal fees, relocation fees, why wouldn't you just offer that now and bypass all of the bureaucracy and bullshit that's happening in our court system right now? Makes sense, right? Just saying. Trying to help keep you guys all focused in the same direction. So if they haven't paid the 25%, contact your legal counsel. There's no defense there. So as far as them dragging you over the coals, I don't see how they could possibly do it. They didn't apply for the government money. They didn't pay you. They had more than enough notification. This has been going on for how long now? It's time. So if you didn't get paid the 25% and your tenant's still owing you, start the case. If they didn't pay you October's rent, I beg you, serve them the 3-day notice, the new one with all the verbiage on it, and notify the state of California. That's how they're going to know that these owners are getting manipulated. They're getting used. Okay. Notify the state. Who knows? We may see more money coming about. So I wouldn't raise rents in LA County at all. And I understand Dennis Block is telling you yes, and I say no. And now you understand the why. Dennis Block will represent you in court. He will take your money and defend you to the best of his ability, even though there is no case law. I have no interest in going to court. I'm trying to keep you out of court. And I'm telling you, if you raise rents right now, it's not worth the $600. Okay, that's how I want you to look at it. If for 6 months you have an increase, and let's face it, it's only 5 months because you got to give them at least a 30-day notice. Okay, just saying. 5 months of rent at $50, you're still going to spend more money potentially just defending yourself in the lawsuit. Why even put your foot in the pond? Don't touch the water. Okay, it's hot. You don't want any part of it. Let me ask a professional management company. Ed, you're with us today. Are you increasing rents at all for your tenants in LA County?
No.
And when are you planning on doing such?
When you say so.
Don't say it like that. But I mean, you have professional legal counsel that's telling you, yeah, sure, go ahead. Because that's what they're saying. They're saying, yeah, sure, go ahead. You have to remember, they get paid by defending you in court. I'm not down talking them. I'm not saying that there's anything bad about our attorneys, but you need to know how they make their money so that you understand when and where you want to spend your money.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know another way to break that down. I'm just trying. They're not evil, wicked people, but come on, they haven't been paid for quite some time. The courts were closed. And now the grind unit are running and they're filling up their buckets. Same thing we do, okay? If the tenant's rent is due on October 20th, do I have to wait until the 20th to serve a 3-day notice? No, you can serve a 3-day notice on October 21st. If the rent isn't due until the 20th, it's not delinquent until the next business day. So you can't serve a 3-day notice until the 21st of October. Can I serve them now for the period of time from September 20th to October 19th? No, you can't, because to September 31st is a protected period to the tenant.
So when they serve, if that's the case, if they're serving, if their rents go from the 20th to the 20th, they would have to actually prorate the rent from October 1st through October 20th. They can only serve that amount, not the full amount.
Bingo. Bingo, because they're protected from the 31st. Absolutely, Ed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But what if a tenant from the city of LA didn't pay the 25%, ignore the notice we gave them, their rights, and are not even trying to qualify for rent relief? It's because they're lying. And I don't mean to say this in a bad way, but come on. We all know about the tenants that didn't work, bought new cars. Shit, some of them went and bought a new house, moved out. We know because they're gone now. So
But for LA, we can't serve them a 3-day.
For the city of Los Angeles,
City of Los Angeles.
you can serve them a 3-day notice, but not on the protected money,
Just for October.
just for October, going forward into October.
Okay.
The protected period is over with. The tenants in LA City are still protected for that protected period for 1 year. The
Just for that.
residents of the county of Los Angeles are still protected from that period for 6 months. They are not protected for the month of October. See how that worked? So if you're here in October and your tenants owe rent right now and they didn't pay you, it is a new 3-day notice, a different notice, not the one we've used forever. Okay, only tenants that move in on or after October 1st to March 31st get our regular old 3-day, because we don't have to disclose anything to them about COVID because they weren't living with us when COVID was happening.
Patty,
That's
is the 3-day that Melanie shared with everyone, is that the correct one?
I didn't see it. I'm talking to you guys.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what Melanie shared. It has additional disclosures, and I'll give you guys a tip. It says at the very top, for rents owed from October 1st of 2021 through March 31st of 2022. Why? Because that's the county's 6 months. Okay. And like I said, if you want to be safe and hit the easy button and avoid all this he said, she said stuff, just go ahead and wait till April Fool's Day to raise rents, terminate tenancy without cause, or anything like that. Okay.
Margot, can you please?
Thank you.
Everybody in the industry.
I'm trying.
knows that,
I muted her. I did it. I figured it
Good
out.
job. What about?
Oh, you have the
these-
new AGLA letter? Okay, perfect. So if it's the AGLA notice that you guys have out there, like I said, I'm not looking at that. I'm trying to talk to you guys and remember everything that the attorney told me so that I could share what I have.
Patty, are we allowed to do late fees now after October or no?
Only in October going forward.
Yeah, but from October going forward, we can do it.
Do not add late fees from the protected period, just so everybody's clear with what I'm saying out of my mouth. The protected period, just close it in an envelope, pretend it never happened, okay? Don't do anything with that. Not yet, not till November. But as far as starting fresh and new for October, and only put October's rent on the notice, even if they owe you for the protected period, it doesn't go on this notice. This is just for October, just for November, okay? Just going forward. And contact your legal counsel, and I'm not even joking about starting a case on the 25%. There's not a whole lot of defense there for a tenant attorney to argue of why they didn't pay. So we should see those cases go through rather quickly, is what I'm trying to say, rather than be in the big litigated. In other words, it's going to take those dishonest tenants. And I think one of the attorneys, and I'm trying not to quote them verbatim, I think one of the attorneys said it's over 90% of all tenants that are still delinquent are manipulating the system or fudging, lying,
How
whatever you
many?
want to say.
What percent?
90. Yeah. How many of us landlords right now still don't have money and they didn't pay October's either? They're lying. They bought houses, they bought cars, they bought new computers, they bought lavish vacations. God knows what they did with the money, but that's 90%. Yep, 90%. 90% of tenants in the state of California manipulated the system. Out of the people that are owing rent right now, 90% of those manipulated the system. Ouch. And all we really wanted them to do was just apply so we got paid. That's all. That's all we wanted them to do. But they don't want to apply because they don't want the government to know what they really did.
It's unbelievable.
It's bureaucracy and bullshit at its finest. And unfortunately, we're taking the brunt of it. And you got to remember when you're offering cash for keys, you guys, there's nowhere for them to go. How many vacants do you have, Ed?
5.
You have 5 vacant units. 5 vacant units out of how many hundreds of doors?
300.
300 doors. He has 5 vacant units. And I could tell this to all the landlords out there that are holding onto their properties and have been holding onto their properties throughout the pandemic. Now is time to put them back on the market right now, because they cannot move in and cry COVID. Those people that move in right now get the old 3-day notice we used 2 years ago. There is no protections for a new tenant moving in on or after October 1st. So if you're holding on to your vacants, get them rent ready. Now's the time. Get them on the market. And as nicely as I could say this, let that rent increase come running right into your door, okay? There's not a lot of vacant units on there. People are fighting over them. How many applications do you get in a 1-hour period, Ed?
How many applications do we get?
Yeah, I mean, I hear people say we get 50 within an hour of it being available.
We get a few, but not that many now.
Not that many? Okay,
I
so
think
I
our
guess
prices might be a little high. That's probably why.
hey, it's all good. Get what you can get while you can get it, because the grunion don't run forever.
Yeah.
Fill up your buckets now, folks. For those of us that have been in this industry since the last market crash, if you will, 2007, 2008, we were doing this exact same thing. We were raising our rents just as much as we could, as quick as we could, and letting that come in. It's gonna, eventually the straw will break the camel's back, and we'll end up going backwards in order to keep and retain. So as we're pushing for more, watch how quickly we all fight to keep who we have in there. It's a vicious circle.
Patty,
Yes,
is the state going to punish these tenants that have been fudging the system? Is there going to be any recourse or any repercussions?
They're going to get evicted.
No, but beyond that, like beyond that, there's nothing.
The state denied them the income. Now you're going to get a money judgment against them. You're going to get this against them. You're going to get that against them. If you see that the state's denied them, print that out. It's golden. Okay. And know that for us that want to evict going forward for non-payment of rent for October, for November, we're going to have to apply to the state every time the tenant's late and we want to pursue an eviction. We have to apply to the state and wait 20 days. Not saying that the state is going to pay us, but we're notifying them of our intention to make that person homeless, simply said. And then let me check, because I see quite a few more questions came in. Yes, Val, it is 90% of us, right? It sucks. I have a tenant on video going to work. He hasn't paid rent in 18 months. It's pathetic, isn't it? But at the same time, and just hear me out, because we got to give him the benefit of the doubt, okay? What if his wife isn't working either, and he's the only one that's working, and it's taking everything they have just to keep food on their table? Because let's face it, not only has the price of 2x4s gone up, so is the price of a steak and a box of cereal. Everything is going up. So we're all feeling it. He could have been affected by the pandemic. He could not be affected by the pandemic. But as simply as I could say this, the free ride is over and it's time to pay the piper. Okay. The free ride is over. Okay, hang on. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Can we include rent on move out sodas? Ed, what are you talking about? Or disposition?
Yep, statement of deposit account. Can we now include rent? I'm assuming only from October on.
Bingo, you got it. You can't do anything regarding the protected period. You can't even talk to anybody about it. So you guys be careful. What you ask whatever you want. I don't care. If they don't answer you, understand they can't. But don't answer any questions. That's where you could get sued about what happened with your tenant during the protected period. The correct verbiage is, if they were affected, they were protected. And that's something I'm not allowed to talk about per law. So if you have a landlord calling you to find out what happened during the protected period or get a tenant verification, rental history verification, you guys need to know for the next 5 years, we cannot disclose what happened during the protected period of COVID, or it's considered retaliatory and they can sue us. They even put dollar fine amounts on it. Don't do it. We actually did really well with renting during COVID, all tenants paying. Yay, Melanie. Currently we have 3 vacancies out of 120 and only in the last 2 weeks. So new tenants getting old 3-day notices, and I got it. Perfect. So you got it. New tenants get the old 3-day notices. The new 3-day notices are only in effect until March 31st. That means we can do rental verification for rent starting October, but not from the projected period. Hold on, Kayla, Katya, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. You're wrong. Hold on. You can do a rental verification for whenever you want. You can ask for whatever you want. You're fine, but they don't have to answer you. You need the credit report to make that decision correct. They can only answer you legally from October going forward and prior to March 20th. You need to know that because you don't want to let that come out of your mouth, what happened with your tenant. That's where you get sued. You don't get sued by asking somebody, you get sued by telling somebody. Does that make sense? You don't get sued for asking, you get sued for telling. Okay, remember that. The wife is working. They've gained weight during COVID. I'm sorry. That was classic, dude. That made my week. Sal said, who hasn't gained weight? I'll be honest with you guys. I have not gained weight during the COVID pandemic at all. Okay. I think it's because I'm so stressed out because it's been kind of like this roller coaster of, oh, holy craps. And I have to report that to you guys. And I feel like I have skin in the game with you. So when you call me crying, I'm crying with you going, oh God, okay, how are we going to fix this? What are we going to do? I really put myself in the equation. And I think that's why I haven't gained weight. I've been stressed out through this whole thing because I'm worried about all of your investment properties and keeping you safe. If they haven't paid the 25%, call your legal, put them in legal. Well, how do you defend that? Okay, let's play a game right now with Ed from Hawk Management, who is a real estate broker, owns his own property management company that manages investments. Ed, how would you defend and just put yourself in the equation of the tenant and being in a courtroom? How is the tenant going to defend themselves from this?
I don't see any way that they can do that.
Say that again.
I don't see any way that they can do that.
Say that again.
I don't see any way that they can do it.
Is everybody paying attention? If they didn't pay you 25% by the end of September 30th, you have them by the cojones. There's no defense to that. They could have applied for government funding and gotten all their rent paid. They chose not to. Now they can't. It's closed. See how that worked? They didn't want the government in their bank statements seeing where they spent their money at McDonald's or the Tahitian Hilton or God knows where they went. You know what I mean? They don't want that. So now what's the excuse? They still didn't pay the 25%, so they're done. How do you argue that? I didn't understand. No, not gonna fly. Not gonna fly. So if you have somebody that owes you and you need to figure out the rents, okay, please. Because it's only during the protected period that they owe that 25%. So if they paid you for half the year and then they stopped, the 25% is paid, right? Think about it. Think about it. Ed's going, damn, you're right, Patty. It makes sense. So if they paid you half the year and then they stopped the other half, that's more than 25%. It's 50%. Right? Okay, just making sure everybody's understanding what I'm trying to say to you. But September 20th includes October. No, you are going to have to wait and
No,
prorate.
yeah,
You're gonna have to
prorate. This is a
prorate the rent from October 1st to October 19th. So on the 19th of October, on the 20th of October, you can do a prorated 3-day notice for October 1st through the 19th. And you can serve that on, and the rent's due on the 20th, right?
He said on the 20th, so I think he can start serving the 3-day on the 21st with a prorate of October 1st.
The 1st through the 20th, right? You're right. He goes through the 19th of the following month is what messed me up. And I don't have my glasses on today. So for you on October 21st, I would do a prorated 3-day notice to pay rent or quit for rents owed from the 1st of October to the 19th of, or the 20th of October. This is mute since we've gotten rent relief through April 2021, which is more than 25%. You got rent relief through April. Did you apply for April, May, June, July, August, September? Because there's another 6 months that are owed to you. I would apply for that. Good job. Good job. Follow up on your application. Make sure it didn't fall through the cracks, especially if you're in LA. They had some hiccups in their giddy up. You got it linked even. I'm impressed. For those of you that applied in the beginning and then you haven't heard anything, nothing's happened, you gotta reapply, please, I beg you. LA lost, a lot of people fell through the cracks when they ran out of money. Then they revamped it, tweaked it a bit, and then they went after the county's money because what happened with LA is they went after the state's money first. And then they had to revamp the program to include the county's money that was given to the county. So hence why HDICLA ran out of money. Now they've rebooted, they're using the county money. If you haven't been paid and you haven't had any contact and you've applied pre-September, so August 31st or prior, reapply now, hurry up, don't wait, okay? You might've got lost in the cracks. Okay, anybody have anything that they want to talk about specifically, or I'm going to cut this off so you guys can all enjoy your day. We are seeing light at the end of the tunnel. It is not a train coming at us. This is good. Our tenants are starting to panic and freak out. We're having people move out in the middle of the night because basically the free ride is over and we're calling your bluff. I mean, there's no other way to describe it, right? The free ride's over, we're calling your bluff, and what we're finding is they're moving out in the middle of the night.
Patty, general question, do you post these webinars somewhere for us to be able to view them afterwards?
Absolutely, you can watch them on my YouTube channel.
On your YouTube channel, okay.
Yeah.
Is it open to the public or just to us?
Nope, only to members, so you'll have to log in
Okay.
to my YouTube channel. Okay. I saw something else come through. Let me see what it is. Is the AGLA new 3-day okay for Kern County? Yes, it's okay for the state of California. That's the one with the additional disclosures. And it says at the top for rents owed from October 1st of 2021 through March 31st of 2022. If that's the one, then the answer is yes. Anybody getting paid promptly after approval of rent relief?
It takes time.
April. So go ahead.
It takes time to actually get the money.
Okay, how much time are you seeing it takes on the average, Ed?
I actually received a notification around September 28th or September 30th, somewhere thereabout, that we were going to get a couple of checks, and they specifically said to expect them around October 7th. So I don't know if you call that promptly, but that's about a week and a half.
And when did you apply?
Oh, a long time ago. It took forever.
Okay.
They suddenly, right before why I said we needed another recall is they suddenly, right before the recall, approved a bunch of rent relief checks.
Right, but then said they wouldn't pay you for 6 weeks, so,
Right.
but they approved them.
Yeah.
People are getting paid. We are seeing money come out. Melanie, you have a question. If we post notices, any notices, do we have to go through with the eviction? No. Melanie, I'll share my secret with you, okay? And Ed, don't laugh at me, okay? Because I know you're gonna. I serve notices all the time in properties when I was managing properties and in the property I own. Okay? And I don't fill out a proof of service unless I'm gonna go through the court process, because that's what the court process recognizes as that you did what you said you did, or you will suffer the penalty of perjury, which I believe is 6 months in jail. So for me, talking to you, I post my notices. It doesn't mean you have to go through with an eviction. You're giving them legal notice that you could evict. We use that as a tactic a lot in professional management, because sometimes it scares the tenant and pushes them to pay faster, or they'll give us whatever they have in their bank account and tell us next Friday I'll have the rest. We just turn around and 3-day them on the balance. That's how that works. Okay. As far as answering your question with a yes or no answer, I kind of tried to. If you're posting a notice, you don't have to go to court. You're doing your job. If you're mailing a notice, you don't have to go to court just because you posted a notice. You go to court because they didn't abide by your notice, and now you need the court to intervene. Does that make sense? I hope that helps put it all in perception.
You have the right, but not the obligation to go to court if you'd like to.
Thank you. You have the right to go to court and not the obligation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No, you can serve notices until you're blue in the face. You are doing your job. It's not harassment. When you start sending letters, that could be deemed harassment. The notice is you doing your job, and you can enforce a notice as your cause of action and open a lawsuit against them if in fact they didn't abide by the cause of action, which would be the notice that you served them originally. Money has been sent to my tenant 3 weeks ago, but tenant says they didn't get it. As a result, I haven't been paid. Hate to tell you this, they don't send the money to tenants. They do not send the money to the tenants. Everyone in here that has gotten paid can agree with me. They don't.
The only time they would send it to the tenants is if you as a landlord did not agree to participate in the program.
Then they would send the tenant the 25%.
Right.
Correct? So if in fact they sent the tenant the 25%, the tenant didn't pay you, start your eviction. There's no defense for it. Be careful not to serve a new notice once you start a case, because it will void your case. Absolutely. Once you start a case, you're done. You don't talk to your tenant about nothing unless they want to give you the keys or come to an agreement, or they have a new maintenance request. Everything regarding that case, they talk to your attorney. You're out of the picture. You have no more control.
Also, if they try to pay you even 1 penny, don't accept it, because that'll void your notice. If we're talking about a pay rent or quit, not a cure.
It even applies on a nuisance case. If you accept rent, you void the notice. So it's not just on a pay rent or quit. If you accept rent, if you're evicting somebody because they're a nuisance and then they pay you and you take the rent, you just voided the whole case. Start over. So it's any funds. It's unethical for us to collect money while we're trying to get them out. Make sense? So no funds, no new notices. You don't do anything unless your attorney tells you to, other than take a request for service. In other words, they're calling you, telling you my toilet's overflowing, or God knows what. Or they're telling you, I want to make an arrangement and I'm going to give you the keys and I don't want this on my record. Can we work something out? Or they just vacate, because those are like the 3 things that happen that you can do. Other than that, don't talk to them. I'm sorry, I can't discuss this with you. This is a matter for my legal counsel, and you can call them by calling 909, whatever the number is. Okay, don't get into a he said, she said with your tenants while you're in a legal battle. It's a bad idea. In fact, it's so much easier in corporate America. We used to do this all the time. I'm sorry, I can't discuss this with you. You can contact the attorney that's handling the case. Is that not what we said? We don't want to say anything. We don't want to get involved. We don't want to say the wrong thing. You sure don't want to serve any notice because it voids anything else that you got going
You're
on.
already paying your attorney. Let him do the work. Why would you want?
Right? Let him talk for you.
Yeah.
Even you're paying him.
Yeah,
Let him do his job.
exactly.
909, cry now. Is that the phone number for the attorney? I love that. My tenant deposits into my bank account. I can't stop the tenant from paying anytime. Yes, you can close the account. I know you didn't like to hear that, but it's a bad business practice to have it linked directly to a bank account. It's a better business practice to use an accounting software program like Appfolio or CozyCo, which is very inexpensive for landlords. That's cozy.co. The other one that's out there is not Appfolio. It's Yardi also has a inexpensive landlord portal, but I want to say it's like $100 a month, which is too much money unless you have 20 or more units.
But
And
if they did pay you, you can just write them a check. You can just immediately withdraw it and send it back to them.
You can do it certified funds and send it through that way.
It's a
If
copy
they
of it.
refuse the certified fund or the certified mail in court, you could have a check there showing that you tried to give them the money back. I mean, it's all in the burden of proof. So you have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you did everything within your power to return that money to the tenant. Repeat the answer again to the question above. I have 2 pending cases, but these 2 have not paid October. So can I or can I not serve a 3-day notice to pay? If you're currently in legal, don't do anything. So if you mean you have 2 pending cases, meaning they're pending the state's funds, absolutely serve them a 3-day. I figured, Val, I figured, I just wanted to verify. So you have pending state fund cases and they've not paid October. So serve the 3-day, yes, absolutely, and apply for the state funds again for October only. What we're talking about is when you have an eviction case going and maybe you're evicting for a 3-day non-payment of rent and all of a sudden the tenant does a material breach of the lease and you serve a new notice on the material breach of the lease, that messes up your legal case. That's what we were referring to. Once you hire an attorney and you have a case going, you don't serve anything to that tenant, you don't talk to that tenant, you just smile and tell them, call my attorney, I can't help you. Unless you're terminating tenancy or you have a maintenance request. That's it. Pass it all back to your attorney. You're paying them, make them do their job. Buildium is a really good for 100 units, is really good for 100 or so units. Okay.
There's
Yardi
also,
has something for
also
about
less-
100 units. I think Appfolio's doing something for 100 units or less. Various accounting softwares that were working for big management also understand the little guy needs some help too. So they have developed something that's more owner friendly on a much less complex playing field. In other words, you're not generating 1099s for vendors and owners and cutting owner checks. So it eliminates all of that and just makes it so you can have a rent collection portal and do a few other things that way, and it's much less expensive. I'll tell you right now, we got into Yardi way back when it was $10,000 to sign up and $1,000 a month to maintain it. Ouch. Appfolio, for the longest time, I want to say it was $150 for every door you have to set them up in the, that's how they charge you. So if you have 2 doors, it's not 300 because they have a minimum you have to pay per month plus your doors. Okay. So these big accounting software programs saw the need for mom and pop to get some help, and they've designed a smaller system that works just for us little folks, 20 units, 50 units along those lines, or just one, even just one, rather than all of the big accounting software programs, because they're insane, literally insane. Okay, so we got lots of opinions here on things to use. You may have addressed this. Tenants who have not paid October's rent. Is there a new program on housing.key to help these October tenants? The answer to that is no. If you have someone right now that owes October's rent, you want to serve them the new 3-day, okay, that has the protection period from October 1st through March 31st on the 3-day notice. And then you want to apply at housingistkey.com. Tenants can no longer apply. This is for landlords only. We don't know if they're going to reopen funds, extend funds, but we need to register with the state. That's how the state of California is going to know how many of us landlords intend on making their residents homeless in the next 6 months. So I think what they're going to do is try to see the need and possibly pay us through that eviction. Who knows? They get the point that there's a lot of tenants out there that have manipulated this and used this to their advantage. And it's not a whole lot they can do about it, but we can put them on notice, and we need to do that. And I can't encourage that enough. That may help us redistribute funds or even pay a landlord that's having to go through an eviction going forward because their tenant was not on the up and up during the pandemic period. Anybody have anything else? I don't want to keep everybody. So as it sits now, if you have a tenant that owes for October, serve the new 3-day notice with the additional disclosures and reapply for the government funds for the month of October. Hold on, Val, I saw you. So if I have a case number for an existing tenant, should I apply for a new case on October? Absolutely. Ed's gonna pipe in. I see it coming.
I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Sorry for interrupting so much. I try to.
No, hey, it's giving valuable information to our members, and I think that's what they need. And thank you for taking time out of your day to join us and let us know that you're in the middle of this as well. You're feeling the effects of it. It's hitting us all. I mean, for anybody to say that they haven't been affected by this pandemic, I want to talk to you because I want to know what you did. We've all been affected. And some of us more than others. Like I've said from the beginning, we're all in this storm together. Some of us are on a cruise ship and some of us are in a life raft, but we're all in this storm together. Okay. All right, you guys. Anything else, or I'm going to end this for today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
because
Patty.
of you guys. No, thank you guys.
Bye, everyone.
I got you. All right, and remember, anybody that's vacating that owes rent during the protected period, do not put it on your disposition of security deposit. It's retaliatory. You could be fined for that. Only place you can collect that rent is in small claims court, not on a disposition of security deposit, okay? Sorry, I say that every time, but it's just, I'm trying to break a 30-year-old habit in all your heads is just to put the rent on the dispo. Stop yourself. Stop, please. Remember, they're affected, they're protected. We can't touch that money. That's my biggest thing that I'm trying to tell everybody. Don't do it. And they're like, oh, I did it. No, yeah. Buckle up, it could get rough. Where will I be next week? I don't know. I could be in Baltimore, Maryland. I could be in Pennsylvania.
But you're having your meeting though. Just from
Every week, yes. correct, Melanie, unless you get a written authorization from the tenant to use the security deposit for past due rents. You're absolutely correct. And a written authorization from the tenant has to be done in pen and ink. It does not count if they send you an email or a text message. It has to be in writing with a pen and paper, just to help protect you guys, okay?
Cool. Thank you so much, Patty.
All right, thank you, you guys.
Bye-bye.
You guys have a great day, and if you need me, hunt me down.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.